I had to start from scratch all over again. I had to back myself, and this time I only had myself to rely on. I just got rejection after rejection. I mean, that's if they even bothered to respond in the first place. And the reason was typically because we've already got a black girl on our books and our quota is full. And I used to think, well, what's that got to do with me? One day I was just lying on the couch, super depressed, and this advert kept coming up. At that point, I didn't think I could handle another rejection. It was a shock. And it's always been a shock because I never experienced it until I got into TV. That's when I learned about the quota. That's when I learned about the tick boxes. That's when I learned that it was a one in, one out system.
Legacy through the lens.
Before CITV, before A Place in the Sun, or any of the TV shows you may know me from, there was one very cringe but very important VHS tape that I would say is arguably the most cringiest but the most significant tape of my entire career. Hi, I'm Leah Charles King, TV presenter, mental health campaigner, and ex-girl band member. This is my almost 40-year legacy, told by me, chapter by chapter, for the very first time. Last time we closed the door on my cliche years in 1999. The girl band dream that ended with heartbreak, debt, and left me trying to rebuild my life at just the tender age of 19 years old. And what came next, trust me, that wasn't glamorous either. Before we dive in, let's rewind to the year 2000. A brand new millennium, no smartphones, certainly no social media, no YouTube, no TikTok. I mean, what did we have? If you wanted to be on screen, someone had to put you there. Now let's talk about the fashion. We're talking low-rise jeans, cargo pants, rimless sunglasses, diamante hair clips, crop tops, boot cut, everything. It was the 90s. I think it's all come back now as well. The girls smelled like Impulse and the guys smelled like Lynx Africa. It's true. I'm thinking Destiny's Child, Britney Spears, Craig David, and Mystique. They were everywhere. People still use dial-up internet, and you still had to call up the box to request your favourite music video. And there I was, the year 2000, a brand new millennium. And while the world was stepping into a shiny new era, I was stepping into a call centre. Call centres were booming at the time. Banks, insurance, customer service lines, they all needed staff and I needed money. So there was this call centre in Harrow. It was called ICT, big up to all the ICT massive back in the year 2000. And we were selling insurance for Barclays, for Lloyds. The minute I walked in there, everyone, and I mean everyone, recognised me. In those days though, when you were famous because you only have 5 channels. Yes, you did have Sky, of course, that was a subscription or cable, but there was only 5 main channels, no Freeview, and even Channel 5 had only just launched like in the 90s. So when you were known for something, celebrity actually really meant something back then. It wasn't just all about clicks and clout because none of that existed. So there I was walking into this call centre and people were stopping me going, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? When I told them I was now working there, you could imagine the shock. They were like, but hold on, I've got your CD, I've got your tape. I just saw you performing at this club or that club. And now you're here. And you could see the confusion in their faces. And I was just really embarrassed. I felt super humiliated, as you can imagine. At that time, our music was still being played on the radio. And the juxtaposition of me being in the call centre at the same time was humbling, to say the least. This is why I think it's so important to remain humble and down to earth. That's certainly what I like to do because, you know, the higher you lift yourself up, the greater the fall. And certainly after cliche, I learned very quickly, stay humble, stay cool, be nice. Anyway, imagine I'm ashamed, I'm depressed, I'm drowning in 6-figure debt. I'm humiliated, I'm surviving. Quietly, but I'm surviving. Do you know, although it had been about a year since Cliche had ended, there was something during the time of our promo where we would do interviews on the likes of MTV, Nickelodeon, The Box. I'd watch the presenters and I think, that's a bit of me. That's so much more me than singing. I guess at that point, the singing, it was difficult at that time, right? Because we had lost our deal. And by the end of it, obviously, Alani had decided that she wanted to leave. That was already a huge heartbreak. And I just thought if I got into presenting, I wouldn't have to rely on anyone else apart from me. It would be something that I could work on. I could develop my craft. I could become good at. And then it would be up to the people, right? It would be up to the people whether I was good enough or not. So that's what I decided to do. But I had no idea how I was even going to get into it, because if you thought music industry was hard to get into, the TV industry was even harder. It definitely had gatekeepers. It was just a very, I would say, very middle class as well, very middle to upper class industry to get into. And there certainly wasn't many people like me in it. And if they did look like me, they didn't sound like me, and they wasn't coming from where I came from, you know what I mean? People weren't aspiring to be presenters back then. It was something you kind of fell into. Like I said, maybe it was the kind of class you were from. It wasn't about what you knew, it was about who you knew. And in those days, people wanted to be actors, singers, they wanted to be in girl or boy bands. And hey, I'd already lived that life, I'd already done that. So I really felt that if you didn't want to be in sports, like a footballer, an actor, a pop star, then presenting, yeah, it was a career path, but it wasn't the career path that people were trying to get into. And so I thought this could be a really, really good niche for me. The issue was, though, there was no presenter courses, no workshops, no coaching, nobody that I could go to. You know, there was no video phones, camera phones. I couldn't start a YouTube channel, that didn't exist. There was no social media. I couldn't create my own content and hope to be discovered like many people are now. I was clueless, absolutely had no idea. But you will never believe who stepped in and advised me. None other than June Sarpong, darlings. Yes, lip gloss June Sarpong, honey. The GOAT, okay? If you don't know, get to know, kids. But obviously, anyone over a certain age knows June Sarpong, okay? Legend in the game. She'd interviewed us a few times when I was in Cliche. We'd been on MTV, which she presented. We also had been on like T4 or something like that. So I've met her a few times on a few of her shows.
So do you want to tell me a bit about the name Cliche?
It's just a cheeky way of saying it's something that we're not really.
Okay.
And, you know,
unique. That's right.
But everyone says that though, don't they? So watch out.
And we'd exchanged numbers, we'd gotten along. So she was like, oh girl, you'd be great at presenting. And I'll just do it like this. This is so, look, this is disgusting. All to try and do an impression of June. Oh my God. She was like, girl, you'd be great at presenting. Oh yeah, you really should give it a go. You'd be great. I mean, it's a terrible impression of June, to be honest. It's terrible. Put the lip gloss away, Leah. Terrible, terrible. No, but June was really, really cool. She gave me advice. She was just like, yeah, you need a showreel. And I'm like, well, what's a showreel? She's like, well, it's like a CV for presenters, but it's visual. So I was like, okay, cool, got it. But how do I do a showreel? Now, again, we have to think of the scene, guys. We've got to think of what we have around us. Camcorders, yes. Editing, no. Like, even if I could borrow my dad's camcorder, right? And record myself, how would I edit it? So I said to her, well, what has to be in the showreel? She said, oh, do some vox pops, talk to camera, do an interview. That's what the producers want to see. And June, so laid back. She's just so cool and laid back. Like nothing fazed June Sarpong. Nothing. I rate her to this day. I thought it would really work. I thought it would be fairly easy, to be honest. But little did I know. I'll get onto that. So the only idea that I had was to go back to my old college, to speak to my old tutor, Jeff Power. Big up Jeff Power, I have to say his name. I don't know what happened to him. Jeff was my tutor at Westminster College, which was in Battersea. It's long gone now, so I think it's a block of very posh flats. I was studying media and photography. I left for the record deal, and he said, Leah, college will always be here. Shouldn't it work? You know where to come back to. And I was like, that's right, Jeff. Here I was going back to Jeff years later, and I asked him if he had any students in his class that would be willing to help me out, willing to film and edit this project, and if he could give them some like credit towards their coursework or something. And Jeff agreed, and these two fantastic guys came to help me. They were students. And to be honest, for many years, I couldn't remember their names, and I can't remember what they looked like, but I do have the tape. And on the tape, it's got their names. Gosh, I was 25 years younger when I could read this. Adrian Hilton. Adrian, thank you. Oh, and Jonathan Baffle. And it's got their phone numbers on here, their mobile numbers. I doubt they're the same numbers. I wouldn't bother call it. And then this wonderful artwork was done by this guy called Nazir. And Nazir, I remember him from the call centre. So you see, I made friends wherever I go. Nothing's changed. Oh my gosh, the opening link of this showreel is so cringe.
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm 20 years old, and thank you for tuning into my showreel. I used to be in a group called Cliche. Some of you might remember me from our UK Top 40 hit Reasons.
I'm wearing the whole double denim with the dress and jeans combo. All the rage in 2000.
Or perhaps our Top 20 hit Rush.
Sometimes I get a feel it coming on.
Singing, dancing and acting is something that I've been doing all my life, but presenting is something that I've always wanted to do. Hi everyone, I'm Leah. I feel that I have the advantage for the sheer fact that, you know, being on all the TV programs, kids, music, whatever, being interviewed all the time, I think I kind of got the hang of what a presenter actually does.
So I look away thinking, I think so. I remember we went to Battersea Park because that was close to the college. And we filmed in the college studio, we filmed in the park, I did some vox pops, and I even called in my pal, Kelly LaRock. Yes, the Kelly LaRock.
Lie on a summer's day, looking at the sky.
Who I'd known obviously from my music days, her music days. We'd done gigs together, we were pals, and I have to say there has been a theme there with Kelly. She's always been a great supporter of mine. So here I was telling her, look, I'm trying to get into TV. I need an interview. You're somebody known. I thought that might impress the agents or, you know, producers. And Kelly agreed, and she came down to the college, and I sat there and I interviewed her, and you can see some of it.
With obviously my love of music and presenting, I've decided to put this showreel together to show you guys exactly what I can do. Now, with a little help from my celebrity mates and up-and-coming bands, I've decided to put something together that might interest you guys so you can see me in action. There's a helicopter going by.
I was already getting into that live TV mode. Just go with it, go with it.
Today I'm here with...
Well, first of all, that opening link is so cringe. I'm really serious. Nothing like my presenting style now. I can see elements of me because obviously it's me. But I definitely honed my craft, and I obviously became certainly more confident on camera. Now, let's look at the interview with the gorgeous Kelly LaRock.
Today I'm here with Kelly LaRock, the diva of UK R&B. Hey girl! How did you get to be Kelly LaRock? And
well, I'd say my first sort of like major music sort of exposure was I was with a group called Best Kept Secret.
Wow. So that was it. I mean, I was trying, I was doing all the right things. The formula was there, and that, ladies and gents, was my very first showreel. 40 minutes long for something that really should be about 2 or 3 minutes. But hey, I gave it a whirl, and it's because of that tape that CITV invited me to an audition. So we all had to start somewhere, and this was my start into TV. If you're enjoying the nostalgia so far, then please give this video a like. It really helps to keep this legacy alive. Thank you so much. Anyway, it looks very homemade, I know, because it was, okay? Rough around the edges, very, very cringe to watch back now. But at the time, you know, it was mine. It was my first showreel and possibly the fresh start that I needed. So the rejections and the reality of the industry, the TV industry this time. Now, I searched for a list of TV agents from none other than the Yellow Pages. Does anyone out there remember the Yellow Pages? Yes, because that's all we had. There was no Google, guys. No Google, no search engines, okay? Really big, thick yellow book. It was a directory that had every business in it across the UK, and you would search in there, and that was the only way that you would really find a business. So I searched under television agents, I imagine, and I just went around cold calling people. Who do I send this tape to? And I remember I used to do this whole speech, this whole cold call, and then they go, no, sorry, wrong person. Oh, it was just orcs. It was awkward. But I'd learned those skills in the call centre. So there I was, putting them hand in hand. So armed with a Yellow Pages, a landline, a pen, paper, a script and a prayer, I cold called everyone. And I just got rejection after rejection. I mean, that's if they even bothered to respond in the first place. The hardest part, though, I have to say, the hardest part was the reasons. And the reason was typically because we've already got a black girl on our books and our quota is full. I mean, at least they were honest. At least they were honest. But let me just say it was a shock. And I'll tell you why. Because for the whole time I was in the music industry, not that I can remember, didn't experience racism or racial bias or anything like that. We were 3 young black women singing. We were accepted, we were loved, we were lifted, we were strong, we were fierce. We weren't put down for being black. We weren't told that black didn't sell or that there were already enough black girl groups, or it wasn't a thing. I mean, I'm not saying that the system or systemic bias didn't occur in the music industry. That's not what I'm saying. It was a shock. And it's always been a shock because I never experienced it until I got into TV. That's when I learned about the quota. That's when I learned about the tick boxes. That's when I learned that it was a 1 in, 1 out system. That's when I learned that, well, we've already got a black girl on our books, sorry. And I used to think, well, what's that got to do with me? Not because I didn't know I was black, duh, you know, black and proud. But more to the fact of, well, just because you've got 1 black girl on the books, what does that even mean? You've got 10 white blonde females. Like, I wasn't trying to be facetious. I just really didn't understand. So yeah, my depression got deeper. Didn't have a name or word for depression then, but I was in a low mood. I was still licking my wounds. Everything that I'd worked for years since a kid had ended. And I felt rubbish. And obviously working in a call centre wasn't my idea of fun, even though I made some amazing friends there, but I didn't want to be there. And one day I was just lying on the couch, super depressed, and this advert kept coming up. It must have been the summer, because every single day for weeks, and remember, we only have 5 channels, every single day, on ITV, you would just see, could you be the next CITV presenter? CITV on a presenter search. And I kept seeing it, and I kept also seeing this tape in my eyes going, send me. And I was going, no, because, well, I'll be honest, at that point, I didn't think I could handle another rejection. Then on the very last day, I saw that advert one more time. Could it be you? The voice kept saying, could it be you? And I thought, yeah, maybe it could be. So I took the tape across the road to the postbox and I dropped it down the chute. And then that's it. I just left it there and I forgot about it. And to be honest, for weeks, I didn't hear anything back. Nothing at all. And one day, I got a voicemail on the house phone. Yeah, on my landline. It sounded like the TV. It sounded like a CITV cartoon character. And so I thought it was a prank and I ignored it. I thought it was a prank and I absolutely ignored it. I thought, no, you're not getting one on me today, mate. Don't know who you are, but absolutely no. A few days later, they called back and you'll never guess, it was the voice of CITV. It was Steve Ride himself. Now, for those who don't know or don't know much about CITV, there was a time when it was out of vision in maybe the late 90s, possibly. It was this voice by a guy called Steve Ride, and he was like the animated voice of CITV. And now that was him leaving me a voicemail on my phone. And now he's calling me up. And I'm like, I felt like I was in the TV. It was so surreal. Oh my gosh. But it was so exciting. And there he was inviting me to Birmingham for an audition to CITV HQ at the very famous Central Studios. And I was so excited. Of course, I didn't have any money, so I had to go to the bank of mum and dad. And there were no fast trains in those days. So it was the slow train to Birmingham. So I'd spent 10 years in the music industry, hoping really that it would open the door to TV. I thought the fact that I'd had this career in the music industry, the fact that I'd had songs in the charts, that I'd toured with Lionel Richie, I really thought it would get me a foot into TV, but it didn't. TV world didn't care. They didn't care. I had to start from scratch all over again. I had to back myself, and this time I only had myself to rely on. So there you have it. Loads of cold calling, many VHS tapes sent in the post to agents, many rejection letters to follow after that. But there was one place that I could potentially call home, and that was CITV.
Hi, I'm Leah, and it's my burning ambition to be the next CITV presenter. I'm fresh, I'm fun, and I'm funky, and if you want to have a laugh and spice up your afternoons just a little bit more here on CITV, then look no further. Vote for me, because I'm your girl.
All right, guys, get out of our shop, because guess what's going on today? We've got Grizzly Tales, we've got Ginger, and we've got Sabrina as well. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a crazy morning, because it's 20 years today that Children's ITV first started way back in 1983. About that a bit later on, but I want to take you back to your time in the rocket ship. Take a look.
Please don't.
I just want to say a great big thank you to everyone who sends in their pictures and birthday cards. Stay tuned, because hopefully we'll be showing them very, very soon.
I'll be showing you in the next video my CITV auditions and how I unexpectedly made British TV history. And yes, I'll also be sharing for the very first time why I really left CITV. That's a story I've never told publicly before. So if you're here for the nostalgia, the truth and the tea, hit subscribe, because you really don't want to miss what's coming next.
Dreams to breaking glass ceilings on screen. This is legacy through the lens, Legacy through the lens.